he understand was self-defense,
Right.
and that's something he wanted to know, and that's what
Right.
he authorized me. I'm one of the few persons, the only other person who's authorized to teach law enforcement and intelligence. That's
Yeah.
happened to say to me, yeah. But the
Yeah.
thing is that it's something that gets me worried is that today I've been watching videos from people teaching self-defense, and when
Hmm.
you see they're killing the person,
Yeah.
and that's a big difference between self-defense and fighting and fighting for
Yeah.
your life.
Yeah.
And that's why law enforcement sometimes they kill people, but they have martial experience. But once again, in when you're in law enforcement, you have to uphold the law,
Right.
protect the person, and read them the rights and all the stuff like that.
Yeah.
You have to
Well, see,
instead get
that,
yeah,
that
all the stuff, and
that's
you
what
know that.
that's
Mhm.
actually one of the things that I really want. Okay, so we're live, right? So let me just say
Okay.
welcome. Let me say welcome to everybody. This is episode number 250 of the Jeet Kune Do Dialogues. That handsome gentleman that you see there with me is making his
I'm looking for him.
is making his second appearance on the program. Albert Grajales is a top student of the late Sifu Ted Wong. He's one of the top JKD people in my neck of the woods, the Caribbean. He's based in PR. So, but we're going to talk today about an aspect of Jeet Kune Do that I don't think we discuss it that much, Albert. Like you were just saying, right?
No,
The whole
but first,
Jeet
yeah,
Kune, yeah.
I'm
I mean, so for example, Krav Maga has a reputation as a thing for self-defense and for law enforcement. Jeet Kune Do doesn't have that reputation.
we're gonna talk about that soon. But first of all, I want to thank you, you and your public and your followers for inviting me once again to your program, and I truly enjoyed your network of programming, and I really enjoyed the way you handle things because if there's somebody who truly respects everybody in taking the world, it's you. I admire your input and your heart behind it. So that's
Thank you,
why
man.
all concept, not concept, original, extraterrestrial, whatever, we have to we have to support you because this is one common language.
Thank you. I
It's
appreciate
common
that.
language,
I
and you
appreciate
have
that.
my deeper respect, and I know your career as a martial artist. You're awesome, and it's a privilege to be here. And I
Thank you,
hope we
man.
could clarify a lot of questions.
Yeah, yeah. So that so let's do this. Let's for those who might not know who you are and who never saw your first appearance, let's go back and because here's what I remember. You let most people leave Puerto Rico and move to New York. You did it the other way around.
Yeah, I had no choice. I was 5 years old, almost six, so I had no choice. But I had a choice to
Right?
go back again. But I said to myself, there's an old saying: "Would you rather be a big fish in a small pond or in a big pond?" Well, I'd rather be a big fish in a small pond because
Mhm.
I had more opportunities here for the people here in Puerto Rico. So I
Yeah,
decided.
yeah.
Now, my martial art career started with my father, who was a martial artist in the militaries, and it was talking martial arts in the family was a family thing. It's a
Wow.
family thing.
Really?
My yes, my mom has Alzheimer. My God bless her. She knows how to defend herself. She knows how to hit the back, how to box. And she used to give submission holds to my students. They couldn't believe it when she was 69 years old, and she used to do it. Yeah, she was tough, and she's
That's
still tough because
that's
Alzheimer. She
great.
sometimes slapped me sometimes. But anyway,
Yeah, that's
but
great.
The Grajales name, it's a martial art name. It's like the Elquides. So my senior brother who passed away in 2018, he was a person who was a follower in Kung Fu,
Mhm.
and my other brother Ralph was Master Ralph. So Ralph is a very recognized Taekwondo teacher in Puerto Rico and the Caribbean. I mean,
Okay.
his school is number one. They
Mhm.
have a gold medalist. They follow the Olympic, but Ralph has also a background like myself. We came out both from I came up with different backgrounds in martial art that I told you about Wing Chun, boxing. My father influenced me a lot in boxing and grappling.
Mhm.
And then I did even judo, Kodokan judo, but then I met Vietnamese instructor Chan Duc Nhu Jang that he taught or Kupu Kwan, but he came from Tangso. So, but his background was since he was a little kid doing
Right.
martial arts in Vietnam. So he was when I entered with him take that, I discovered through my dad later on that he was a SOCON trainer for special forces in Vietnam.
I see.
So his training was basically Jason Bourne stuff,
Right.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
spit in the eye and let the eye blow out or stuff like that. The guy is incredible, and he
Wow.
didn't like to he didn't like to teach that to anybody else. But but let me jump that, keep that for later. And our family completed as martial artists. So I met Ted Wong in the '80s because I wanted to study the original JKD, and I was approached by Richard Bustillo in the past, and he helped me find Ted Wong.
Mhm.
Richard Bustillo, may rest in peace. And then I trained with Ted, who took me as a student. I thought it was easy, but it was difficult to be a student.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. And then from there on, we had a relationship that we stopped being a student and teacher.
A
He
teacher.
turned out to
Right.
be, and he turned out to be a family member. He
Mhm.
was like my father,
Mhm. He was
and
the
I was
best
like
man
his
at your
son,
wedding.
the best man wedding, and
Yeah.
the person. And he was a guy who kept good secrets, and he knew, besides that I did law enforcement, also in the intelligence community. So
Right.
he was there. So at Ted Wong, it's like a father for me, and I was loving to the end of my days. And it was through him that I spoke to him a lot about what we call reality combat. Now
Right.
let's go back again.
Yes.
Let's go back. I decided later on in my life to enter the law enforcement community, and I worked for what we call the Special Investigation Bureaus, like the FBI in Puerto Rico. And they really immediately they passed me to Interpol, where I was an Interpol agent. Then I was a supervisor, then a director. I was a deputy director. I was a director, and I was a deputy director in Interpol Washington in counterterrorism.
Mhm.
But at the same time, I was serving the intelligence community as a volunteer, and then later on with the special assignments, I had to work with the best of the best. Um, that's why
Oh no. Puerto Rican internet. Hang on a second, guys.
we all could be a
Okay.
part of it, even you. Yeah. So and then I would go to support the intelligence community. It was during that time when I was doing law enforcement.
Oh no. All right. Hang on. Because he's on his phone. So I hope that and there's no bad weather down in Puerto Rico, so all right, just give him a sec to get back on. All right, we're gonna go blank or blue screen for a second here, guys. Hang on. All right, let's try this again. Okay, you ready? Yep, I do.
Okay, I see my ugly face right there.
All right. Sorry
Okay, then.
for that break, guys. Man. Okay.
That's that's what happens when you talk about the intelligence community. It's a no thing.
Hey, I don't doubt you. I don't doubt you. Actually, so I started celebrating the holiday weekend by watching
Um,
TV. So I'm actually watching season 3 of the Jack Ryan series.
I started yesterday to see it.
Okay.
The reason why I like to see that series because it's basically quite the closest thing of the real thing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. If
Wow.
you see
Okay.
if you see the film Jack Ryan, the last one they did with the actor who worked in Star Trek and stuff like that with Pine. So in
Mhm.
the end, the advisor of that film was my friend and mentor, Michael Sulik, who was the deputy director of the CIA. So
Wow,
he was an
really?
advisor. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Uh, my my
Well,
my 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 my, my
maybe the next time that you and I are gonna do the show, maybe you could just give them some advance warning so that
like saying, to not
so,
interrupt.
right? Yeah, so that
Yeah,
they clear the
to clear the
airwaves.
name. Yeah, I should. My regards to the people from NSA and the people from Langley. Anyway, I'm a good
Well,
boy. Anyway,
anyway, all right.
but
So yeah, so
I, I
let's get into this if we can,
yes,
right? Where it was 1994, I think, that you
yeah,
got permission,
right.
right?
Before that, I was an instructor already of Lord a trip because I created analysis in
Uh-huh.
1988 when I entered the agency to do because I saw a horrible accident of a guy doing a keto technique to a small guy like 5'5". He was like 6'3", and the
Uh-huh.
guy gave him a keto technique, and the guy just stretched his arm and did a Michael Jordan thing on his nose and broke his nose. He got in shock. So I wrote a thesis in 1988 about
Right.
reality combat, the surprise factor. And
Okay.
because sometimes you train, and that's why I always think, and this is a personal opinion, it doesn't matter what art you train, you have to get hit to understand
Hmm.
it doesn't take you as a surprise.
Hmm.
You know, a good punch in the stomach and the jaw, and at least in the nose, doesn't
Right.
surprise you, and that helped. And it was based on that. But then when I entered in the agency, I was already a martial instructor, so they put me in the self-defense program for Justice
Hmm.
Department and to establish new things. That's why I came up with the idea of reality combat in 1988. And
I
then
see.
that was and then from there up, I was assigned to attach to the Secret Service for 3 years, and then I gave them that analysis of why reality combat is so important. You know, it doesn't matter you take Aikido, Jiu-Jitsu, whatever. Good old boxing techniques, simple. It helps you
Hmm.
to understand the pain, just a little bit, to understand the pain a little bit, but not surprising. Anyway, it was
I see.
94.
Right.
Yeah, because sometimes, I know by experience, because sometimes you do something and when something breaks the pattern, it gets you
Hmm.
by surprise, a good hit in the face, and the eye or in the ear. You go like, well, what the hell? They didn't taught me that.
Hmm.
And the thing is, you don't know what to do, and you get shocked sometimes.
Right.
And and
Huh.
that's important for the person who do law enforcement to understand, not to get his ass kicked, at least to understand what it's pain and
Yeah.
how to deal with it. And that the intelligence of because remember, law enforcement intelligence is different. Intelligence, they train you that. They
Yeah.
train that you have to hold pain, understand the pain, and that you have
Right.
to deal with it. Doesn't matter the circumstance what it is. The
Let me
only way
ask you
to
something. Let me ask you
yes,
something. So is boxing then always worthwhile, in your opinion? If
no,
somebody's gonna if somebody's gonna study anything about fighting, should they include boxing in it?
definitely. I give my students always the two options, just two
Hmm.
things: a little bit of boxing
Hmm.
and a little bit of judo, classical judo, sport judo, for them to understand the dynamics of balance and how to struggle and how to get out. And
Right.
at least when they get pinned down, at least those two tough. By the way, that's something Bruce Lee believed a lot. That's why he had Brandon take classes of judo when he was a small kid, and
Hmm.
and Bruce Lee loved boxing. So
Right.
that's very important. So I recommend everybody. It doesn't matter if you come with art, tai chi, whatever. Do a little bit of boxing. Understand, not to be Muhammad Ali, but at least to understand the dynamics, how to get move, just to
Hmm.
get hit. Because logically, the human being, when it's confronted with a real combat, the person's gonna attack you with your hands, their hands,
Yeah.
and it could be boxing skills, not boxing skills. It could be with a weapon. So yeah, at least you have to have that mindset to understand where I'm standing,
Right.
how the hell I'm gonna get out of there, how to survive.
Right.
And
Okay.
that's something I said to Ted Wong, because he said to me, even though that he protects Bruce Lee's original idea of
Hmm.
JKD, and I do too, But then once again, when we're talking about kick in the groin, bite, that's street fighting. That's everything necessary that you have available. You have to defend your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that you can get in all arts, So that's something that's why I said that, for example, my high students in JKD, I would say do a little bit boxing, a little bit judo, a little bit jiu-jitsu, or Krav Maga. A little bit Krav Maga to understand the disarming. I have a couple of Krav Maga instructors under me that have one real good. And the thing is remember,
how does that work then? How does that work?
With us?
Yeah.
Well, it's like putting sugar in anything, like iced tea, coffee. It's the same thing. The thing is, once you understand Bruce Lee's theory of philosophy of fighting, because understand, people say, okay, you guys are for the Junfang Kung Fu, and we're Jeet Kune Do. Doesn't matter. Two sides of the coin, doesn't matter.
Right, yeah.
But I truly believe that to be an astronaut, you have to pass through a program, a regular program, basic program to survival. Once you're in space, you're on your own. So that's how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
I say to my students, remember, you have the defensive move, you have to defend yourself, defend others, or you have the offensive approach. Now, JKD is more offensive than defensive.
Okay.
Remember, hit first, hit hard,
right,
hit again. Remember?
Right. So, yeah, but that's always been a concern of mine, right? Because in a self-defense scenario, you can't be seen or be reported to law enforcement as the guy who started the fight.
That's when we enter. That's when we have to intercept. Intercept
okay.
the thoughts,
yeah.
And try to. You have to train to be fast, to read body. That's why I call JKD the psychology of fighting motion.
Okay.
You have to put the brains of the body together. Right. So you have to, for example, if I see somebody throwing a punch, I try to beat him on the beat, or slip aside and counter him when he throws it. So it would be a PIA, like a track, a present trick attack.
Yeah.
Right. Or attack the groin. All depends. Now, that's the thing that I taught to law enforcement. When I used to teach law enforcement, JKD's approach, I told them to understand Bruce Lee's set of mind first and why. Okay, because when you teach law enforcement agent, not military's intelligence officer, my respect to them, respect to everybody, is that always going to be somebody who practices another art, make you look bad. Doesn't matter. It happens. And what happens? Somebody do this. And what happened? Do that. And what happened? Well, you've been in that situation where you have people that practice martial arts from arts and they're not matured, and they put you in a tight position. And that happens a lot of law enforcement. My respect to law enforcement agents, but hey, it's like that. I train a lot of law enforcement. But when you train intelligence, well, you have to be offensive first. I've trained people from subcon with their Navy SEALs and Delta Force. They have different arts under their belt, and they are very respectful. They don't criticize. Oh, how about somebody do this? No, they don't do that. Yes, sir. What is it, sir? Yes, we do it again. We do it again.
Right.
That's it. And they have a lot of hands and ranks, but they go real basic, and they train basic. That's why things come out real nice to them. But they repeat, even though they know, they repeat and repeat again. So that's the difference between intelligence career or military than law enforcement. Law enforcement, you have to hope, you have to protect the civilian who you're arresting, protect his rights, and you have to watch out. Once you're in your limits, then you have to do what you have to do. But it's too much time also. So that you need that psychological balance when what to do and what to do. So if you're a law enforcement agent and you're training to be a law enforcement doing martial arts, you have to train as a martial arts doing law enforcement, because sometimes you could give a sleeper and a chokehold.
Yeah.
And that's a big difference right there.
Yeah.
That person could die, like happened before. If you don't know it, he's a martial artist, but okay, but do you know the civil rights? I don't know. That's why people have to know. Now you have no choice. You have to give what you have to give.
Yeah.
So that was the approach that I took to Ted Wong. And Ted Wong said to me, you know what, Albert? You created me a conscience. Ted had trained other law enforcement and military people from the CIA. He trained also colleagues of mine. And he said to me, look, go do that approach of Bruce Lee's approach of science to self-defense or offensive fighting. And
Okay.
that's what I did. That's
So-
what JKD Tactical Combat came out. But
Right.
I didn't mention it until now that I'm off law enforcement and intelligence.
Okay. So is it then initially philosophical and not physical? In other words, the start of the design of Jeet Kune Do Tactical Combat starts up here before it goes to here?
Yeah, because not only that, JKD, it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
You're really intercepting the punch. No, you're really intercepting the guy's intention.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be a psychologist. You have to do body language.
Right. Right.
There's no big war, the greatest war that you win, the one that you don't fight, like Sun Tzu said,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Those are the best one. Those are the best one. If you could try to analyze, this guy weighs, like say 250 pounds, it's 6 foot. Okay, he
Yeah.
has a lot of reach, and you understand analyzing in a safe distance, analyzing that computer, you have more time to survive. If it's a
Right.
surprise attack, you know what to do, how to cover yourself, and how to respond fast. But if you could
Yeah.
beat him in the act, you could beat him in the hit, much better.
So, okay. But if somebody asked you for a step-by-step breakdown, for example, right? So is what you just said there, is distance control like primary, because if you have enough distance, you have time to analyze
Exactly.
his mindset and everything.
Right. The farther you the more farther you are from your opponent, you have
Yeah.
more time to think. Once
Right.
you're in no man's land, you have no time
Right.
to think. You have to react. But once
Yeah.
again, how I'm going to react to something I didn't experience before? If you're man-to-man combat and right in the floor, or somebody takes a knife and stabs you a lot of time, you know, it's horrible. And those are thinkings are real, you know, and it's sad. It's sad because sometimes I understand when people teach martial arts and self-defense or stuff like that. Well, you have to do this. It's understandable. If they practice a lot, put it closer to reality, good, bless them.
Yeah.
But they have to take it to himself of not do not be exposed.
Right.
But then you have to recognize also your attributes and believe me, right now, I don't dare do the stuff I used to do before because I don't have the agility and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yes, remember when I introduced this idea to intelligence and law enforcement, I wanted to understand understand the distance, and time is a factor that you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Time is something, if you learn association before with other things, much better.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I came out with reality combat at the beginning. From
Right.
reality combat, I changed it to tactical combat
Yeah.
because you're still going to be in combat.
Yeah. Because I'm trying to think then across the board, civilian self-defense, law enforcement protection, and intelligence, everybody's still, distance control would be a commonality, wouldn't it?
Well, yes. Well, at least in law enforcement and civilians, yes.
Okay.
But remember, there's still a surprise factor. Now,
Right.
when you're in intelligence, when I mean intelligence, I mean that you're a soldier. You have to plan to attack the person,
Yeah.
grab them by surprise. You're the predator.
Okay. Yeah. See, because I'm trying to establish where there are commonalities and then where the differences occur.
Remember, one is protecting the law, upholding the law. The civilians have to do the same thing. Once
Mhm.
you're an intelligence officer outside American jurisdiction, you have to defend yourself as nowhere when using everything.
Right.
Everything is cost. Now, believe me, when you're going to invade a house or something, you need strategy as a predator, how to eliminate the person or not eliminate the person. The cleaner the job, much better.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
cleaner the job, much better. So, that's the difference approach right there. Because when it's I have to attack the person when he's not looking or when he's sleeping, whatever, this and that. Now law enforcement and civilians, they have to uphold the law, and
Right.
you have to and protect the life of the civilians, but then once again the right of the perpetrator also. So it's a sour and sweet understanding.
Yeah.
That's why law enforcement, they have to train a lot. I mean a lot. Don't be conform what they teach in the academy. You have to keep on training in reality combat. What happened? They stabbed me here. What do I do?
Right.
They stabbed me a lot of times. I have to do something about it. I have to stop the guy. How am I going to
Is
stop him?
have there been studies done on what percentage of law enforcement people get additional training beyond the academy? Have they done studies on that?
I understand they did. It
Hmm.
was in 19. It was at the end of 90s or 2000, where
Hmm.
people created conscious. And not only that, remember the theory of how a person with a knife could get close to a person, and that idea came up from Daniel Santo.
Right. Yeah.
Remember where they used it for the academy? So
Yeah.
they
Surviving
started
edge
creating
weapons.
conscious,
Right.
and right. So they started creating conscious little by little. Plus, they
Right.
have seen other cases. That's why U.S. Marshal now they teach them okay different arts, but then teach them Krav Maga. And
Hmm.
you must do Krav Maga. The FBI do a little bit Krav Maga, DEA, which I work very close to, also do Krav Maga and everything. But
Yeah.
once again, it's the closest thing for reality combat and street fighting. But they still have to experience a little bit boxing, a little bit wrestling to understand.
Hmm.
Because there have been cases when you try to arrest a guy who's like Shaquille O'Neal,
Right.
and you could do all the more beautiful things in the world, it doesn't move the guy down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those things you have to be create conscious. So you have to put yourself first psychologically in the
Hmm.
worst case scenario. And you know something, if you have to run to get cover, go for it. If not, but then use your weapon, whatever, to save your life.
Right.
But understand, once you use that weapon, the court is going to grab you, understand you just to see the justification why you used it. And
Yeah.
you have the proper training for that and stuff like that.
Okay. So now the technical aspects of it then, where do the technical aspects of Jeet Kune Do come in? When, or is it only philosophical? Where do the physical
It's
aspects come in?
okay. It's more philosophical because once again, if you still have to go step by step in a scenario of preparation to teach.
Uh-huh.
That something is a must. Now everything's staged until they practice by their own free fighting, and that's
Hmm.
something else.
Yeah.
But it goes little by little. It's a little bit of philosophy, practical related to the mission, or enforcement, or intelligence, or military.
Hmm.
So it's like that. You combine. Um, if you see some things that they don't understand, then you do approach, probably do it with the theory or the reality combat.
Right.
But the thing is that it's a process that you have to use everything at the same time. It's like putting sugar and pepper. It's like that until you get the right taste.
Yeah. Huh. Because I've always wondered why, because it seems to me that Krav Maga came along. Some people have said it's marketing, but Krav Maga came along and made quite a name for itself.
Yes, it did.
Even though I know JKD people who, especially after 9/11, I know JKD people who started working with law enforcement and intelligence. I know people, JKD people who trained the air marshals and what have you. So, it kind of pisses me off now when I think about it, because we were so busy in the martial art magazines arguing about Jeet Kune Do, where other people were taking their stuff and showing agencies how it helped, and we were stupidly arguing in the
And
magazine.
and the thing is based on facts and scientific facts and evidence.
Yeah.
Okay, because you can have all the theories in the world, but the thing is, what it works is the thing that you're involved already. Okay, I mean, you could try. I've seen people do chokehold on another person, and they stand up, they keep on walking. They like monsters. When you have drug, They're like monsters. You have to deal with that, and other cases like that. But the thing is, each art has its time, the peak of time. Okay, came boxing, then came judo, then came wrestling, then came jujitsu, now came boxing again, and Krav
Right.
Maga. So now it's like a new
And
thing.
when was it? Was it 1982 or 1984 came the Karate Kid, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
And
So
remember, and the ninjas came about at one point also. And then in 93, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu with the first UFC,
the Gracies brothers, and
right?
that's then came up the United States wrestling team, which defeated the Gracies, and came like that. Then came back again with Striker, like Conor McGregor, and came like that. Everything's a circle.
Okay.
That's why that's what's important for me. I say to my students, look, do JKD to the end, but I recommend you involve yourself sparring with somebody who does a little bit of boxing, a little bit of. I have a good Krav Maga instructor under me,
Mm-hmm.
and I know his teacher, and his application for Krav Maga. I remember Krav Maga is defensive, but he teaches more like an offensive, using JKD as strategy.
Ah, okay. I see.
So
Yeah.
he beats intention before an attack.
Right.
That's what he do. He trains and also military. But everything has its process. But once
Yeah.
again, if you want to take the whole core Bruce Lee's philosophy, when he said everything goes, it's because everything really goes.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. But it was more about you have to be more like a magician.
Mm-hmm.
Make you see something that doesn't exist first. And like all combat strategies, that's very important.
Okay.
And if you could, and also this is my respect to people who are overweight like I am right now. A good fighter is the one who has a lot of resistance. Jog, do exercise. Something simple will always be doing exercise. But
Well,
the worst thing in the world is when you try to do something that you used to do in the past, you cannot do it because you don't have the
right.
resistance, and that's very important. So that's
I I
my.
I know that Ted Wong was an example of that because he was still. I've been told he was still doing road work in his 60s. He was still running in his 60s.
Yeah, he was running until this last time. I mean, he
Right.
was running, and
Yeah.
when he used to come here in Puerto Rico, he used to take advantage of doing a little jogging
Mm-hmm.
and doing stuff like that, and he did a lot of sports. He
Yeah.
liked shooting. He loved shooting. He loved everything. He was
Mm-hmm.
very deep into sports. His favorite sport was boxing. He
Right.
loved boxing,
Yeah.
and that's why when I did the approach, it's to me it's very important that if you do that, Albert, make people create knowledge that physical fitness is important,
Mm-hmm.
but also that do not. That's something else because once you put something like, for example, the JKD tactical combat looks super good, right? But everybody wants to take class with Albert to be certified. I don't do that thing. I just certify. I don't. I choose the student because they have to be need to be technical combat instructor under me. You need to have previous experience training law enforcement or military.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't want I've seen cases of people showing wrong stuff to the people, and I don't like that. Life is so beautiful.
Right.
You can take risk if necessary. You can't.
Has in your experience, the average law enforcement defensive tactics. I don't even know if they still call it defensive tactics in the law enforcement agencies. They upgraded their training intelligently, or did they just adopt Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because it was popular?
Well, during the time, all depends their senior instructor at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Now, because I could say this is the best thing. I came out with a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and I'm a black belt Kodokan in judo, and then I'm a Krav Maga. So it depends on the instructor. But for example, in the CIA, they give you core training. You have to train this, that, this, and that, this, and that. We need this experience in this thing, and go for that. And mostly when you feel. Now, something that militaries and paramilitaries, they train is simple stuff, effective, and they train it like 1,000 times.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot. You get
Yeah.
sick of it.
Right.
And you know it, but you have to keep on and keep on and keep on and keep on doing it. That's the reason why when years pass by, they come out, the ticket comes out. I know all the instructors, black belts, that they take a ticket. Oh, I know that. Yeah, that's easy. It's like this and that, this and that.
Yeah.
I have a case, a person that it was under me, and he tried to disarm a guy, and he got killed. And that's something always bothered my head.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to defend himself to disarm a guy, and he got shot. So that thing really bangs in my head a lot. And you have to be responsible when you're going to give instant tactics or responding or fighting against a knife or gun.
Yeah.
You have to be smart. You have to be smart.
Yeah, it's got to be. I in the time that we've been talking, you've used the word simple at least 3 times, and I'm thinking, simple, direct, non-classical, or simple, direct, effective has always been a Jeet Kune Do directive, right? So isn't that interesting? Because we know that Bruce Lee, in his personal training, would do copious repetitions of simple stuff, which is why he was able to be effective at a very high level.
Remember, he helped his brother Peter to be trained in fencing, and he had to do the same thing like 1,000 times, only one technique.
Yeah.
Of sword fighting. So he took his brother by example. So sometimes, even the old martial art techniques, you remember, like Miyagi had the poor kid doing the same thing for a long time.
Yeah.
The brother who's going this. I'm going to tell you a joke. Something I'm not sure if Lander told you about it, but Joe Louis told me about this. Joe Louis. He said to me, when I was the world champion, I went to Bruce, when we started training, he had me throwing the vertical punch for like 1,000 times. A lot. I mean, and then the next class, the vertical punch. And he said to Bruce Lee, "Hey, look, I'm the world champion. Okay, I'm the world champion. This I've done it like since I was like a part of my genes." So Bruce looked at him and said, "Okay, start again," and he had to do it. But then once again, he said, "Bruce," and then he told me he remembered his teachers in Okinawa. When they train always the same thing again till you hate it. It comes, and he said to me, Bruce was right. And sometimes when you want to do a lot of modern ideas of fighting.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the beginning of the beginning, where the creator was created, those things have really worked at that time. Sometimes it's that we really want a complex thing to make things complicated or just to look good. But living things, doing things simple. If you live simple, life is much simple.
Yeah.
So it's like that.
Easier to live simply. Yeah.
And that's the way how we train in the intelligence world. When you train in the military, whatever, and also law enforcement depends the branch of law enforcement also.
Right.
And now they have created a lot of conscious do that. There have been a lot of deaths and confrontations. So they're creating conscious that the policeman should not only train what they teach them in the academy. You have to keep on training on your own.
Yeah.
And some create conscious, and some don't.
Talk to me about the Jeet Kune Do philosophy as applied to weaponry in general, but then specifically to firearms.
Okay. It's incredible because I was hearing Ted when we started taking. I took Ted once to shoot at the range, and he shot good. He shot good. Remember, he was a lieutenant in the army. I says, "Ted, you still have it, huh?" He said, "Yeah, there's still the vertical punch. It's like the vertical. It's the same. It's the same. It's the same mechanic of the vertical punch, where you have to put yourself in that position where your body absorbs the recoil of the arm and use this balance. And then once again during the FBI studies, how you call this this position is a triangle. It's I forgot the name of the triangle. Oh my God. So it's like that when you go to the academy. They tell you it's also this position. So you have to be in the social position, yes,
Yeah.
and it's incredible. And when they treat you as shooting like that, now that everything changed, but they teach you basic shooting. It was advanced shooting. Then there's what we call the John Wick shooting. That's the one that is doing they're doing now,
Yeah.
people. But it's almost the same principle. What Ted said to me, said to me, it's the same principle. It's like the vertical punch where you have to check out your enemy from here, not from here, and
Hmm.
straight and aim, let it aim automatically.
Hmm.
And I said, wow.
Yeah.
And I was a firearm instructor, so I started using that too later on. And I said, Ted, you gave me an idea to explain it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm real interested in knowing, because it seems that Sifu Ted's contribution to your ideas, were like from a lot of different directions.
well, he saw that I respected the JKD, original JKD, and I teach it the way he taught me.
Hmm.
But apart, if somebody else wants to learn a little bit more about what the street fighting is about, through
Hmm.
of my own experience, I
Right.
explained them. And I explained
Yeah.
them why. It said to me, you have the matureness, and I'm a person. I don't like to have confrontation with nobody. I don't. I really don't. I mean, who's better, not better? That's something that I've learned in life. There's no such thing as better or less. It's about training or not training, and you have to be humble. You have to be humble. No, that's right. The more humble you are, the less aspect that you have that you're dangerous or cocky. That brings a lot of problems today.
Hmm.
And someone said to me, once you teach them respect to others, respect to the art of at least Bruce Lee's memory,
Yeah.
teach them well how to defend themselves and do anything what you understand is dirty like hell. I said, oh yes, that's what I do, and that's what I do because I said to you before, I took class with a Vietnamese guy. They were saying Master Tang again, who takes the dope, but he teach real hardcore military Green Berets and everything, how to teach. He teaches to call the art of killing, and it was weird. It was just like the movies. And I was a kid. He said, well, before I entered the agency, and he said to me, "Look, anything here is dangerous. Do you see it?" I said, "No." He said, "Do you see this lighter?" And he should break the lighter and use it. And that, but he told me he was trained for that,
Right.
like that. And it's a different approach. But once again, doesn't matter if you're law enforcement or intelligence. The first thing you have to do is understand the psychology of fighting. Okay, understanding where's danger. If there's danger, there's a big percentage you'll be in jeopardy,
Hmm.
and you're gonna confront yourself with somebody who's fast, strong. You could know them, then you have jeopardy is getting worse and worse and worse, and you have to understand the circumstance.
Yeah.
And don't take a battle that you cannot win. That's what I say to everybody.
Yeah.
Be careful. Be
Have,
on.
have you ever given thought to, because it's something that you see online all the time, people talking about what Bruce Lee might have done. And of course, they're always talking about MMA, right? Have you ever given thought to what Bruce Lee might have done in service to law enforcement, intelligence, and that type of thing?
I think Bruce will be fine perfectly training people from the CIA, but he believed in a lot of that. Eliminating your opponent in short time,
Yeah.
and he'll be awesome. And he had the ability to do it. Okay, I think um, from my concern today, I think Bruce Lee would have evolved, was way of thinking, but it proven more his theory. And remember, we have Bruce Lee, the martial artist,
Right.
the fighter, and the killer instinct.
Okay.
That killer instinct is the most dangerous one of all because he has the mind of a person who is always thinking how to eliminate a person in a short time,
Hmm.
just like a soldier, just like that. So he had
Right.
that way of thinking.
I
So
see.
what role it's going to take, who knows?
Right.
I can tell you that he loved all the fighting arts, that he died. He loved to watch boxing, fencing, everything. He loved everything, wrestling, even wrestling.
Mhm.
The thing is that what would have happened if he would approach the mixed martial arts? Who knows? He loved and he respected everybody, believe it or not. People think, oh, but he disgraces Okinawa. No, 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 no. He disgraces the people who prostitute their own arts, not the
Right.
art,
Mhm.
not the art. So I
Yeah.
think Bruce would be always ahead, 2 steps ahead of us, always.
Yeah. It's very interesting though that because I don't, except for like all the people that I've spoken with over the years, there are certain people, because of their background, I expect them to go the academic route, the philosophical route. But I didn't expect the philosophical route from somebody who was an intelligence officer and trained intelligence officer. I thought that would be all tactical. I thought it would all be technical and what have you. So
That's
that's very interesting.
That's why the approach with Ted One, I explained to Ted what about it, and I had
Uh-huh.
to tell Ted how was the approach to fighting, and he remembered his times, his years in doing his training in the army also,
Yeah.
and he understood. He understood very well. So he
Yeah.
said to me, "Do that. You have the matureness. You respect people. I authorize you to use Bruce Lee's Jeet Kune Do as a
Right.
reference of a self-defense and real reality combat. That's actually called reality combat." And he was okay with it. And he has seen part of my people training him and stuff and related with the self-defense.
Yeah.
And he's seen it. And he says street fights, street fighting is street fighting. There's no way for it, and you
Mhm.
have to do everything disgusting for it, to
So
survive.
did you ever have to deal then with people who are like, well, I get what you're doing, but that's not the real Jeet Kune Do. That the real Jeet Kune Do is this and this other thing. Did you ever have to
Yeah,
deal
that
with that?
sure. And plus,
Really?
even myself, I come up from original. Remember, I come up from
Right.
original Jeet Kune Do,
Yeah.
and that's why it comes the difference. That's why I had a letter from Ted Wong, which I sent it to you,
Hmm.
where
Hmm.
he authorized me because
Yeah.
he said I had to mature to deal with this because I will never cross fire with people with concepts or all of that way of thinking. I respect everybody.
Right.
I do respect everybody, and I think that everybody has their own way of thinking to understand things. I truly believe in the original JKD taught by Ted Wong, but I also believe my street experience that my father taught me, my all my ancestors related instructors were related with that type of fighting, and plus what I experienced myself.
Yeah.
I experienced a lot of bad situation, and I survived. And why? Because like, the number one is you have to be aware. You have to be in your toes, and you have to hear. You have to hear. Doesn't know if you know things. You
Hmm.
still have to hear, and that's the trick about it. That's when I give a seminar to people when they have background in martial arts. I said, can you please enter here like an empty cup only for today.
Right.
If later on you wanna get up from the room and say if that shit stinks, whatever, go for it. It's well deserved. But
Yeah.
just give me just one chance to let be myself and to explain to him my point of view. And then, if it was garbage, well, it'll be garbage then. But meanwhile, give me a chance. Yeah, let me express myself. That's what I say to everybody, and I understand. And sometimes I had the situation in the past with federal law enforcement officials statewide that they're SWAT member, not SWAT operations, and they like to how you say this test you
Yeah.
to see your limits. And I had to prove my way of thinking sometimes in that time. It's sad because we talk about people who are intelligent.
Right.
It's not necessary to get that ego. But once again, we are in an animal world where you have to prove you're still the alpha.
Yeah.
And
You,
it's
you
like
know,
that. It's like
yeah,
that.
but the more you describe your experience, the I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm thinking that These are all concepts that Bruce Lee himself espoused. Bruce Lee said you had to be able to prove it. You know, his whole approach to training was, let's demystify the classical arts and let's make sure that what we're doing is real, what we're doing is practical, right?
And not only that, like remember you heard like a thousand, it's like dry swimming. You cannot
Mm-hmm.
train dry swimming and then go through yourself to the water. You would
Yeah,
drown like hell. So
yeah,
it's like that. So I
yeah,
think that just like a cooker, you learn the recipe, you have to put it fast to work to see if it works. It tastes the same way, and that's something that we have to do not only once but a lot of times. Even though you hate it with your guts, maybe you'll find something logical at the moment, but believe me, there will be moments that percentage of the logical will come logical,
yeah,
and it would happen. It would happen. Sometimes that's why I don't disrespect all art the same as a piece of crap, because I don't have every expertise in each art, so I
mhm,
cannot do that. I could
right,
talk about my arts and the consequences. I could talk about street fighting, what works, what doesn't work.
yeah,
You know, or breaking somebody's arm by mistake, or breaking an arm, and the person's still walking at you.
right,
It's creepy. It's like a zombie film.
yeah, oh
So
yeah,
those
yeah,
things you don't expect those things, and mostly with the drugs that they have today.
right,
That's
yeah.
why you know the,
That's why again, you know, like you just said, imagine breaking somebody's arm and they still come after you. There's no way, right? There's no way. That's when reality is reality, and right. So nothing. How prepared for reality can you be in training?
that's the thing. That's why you have to get. That's what the thing you have to get hit, and do
Ah,
real.
yeah,
That like Bruce Lee said, play seriously.
right,
You have to play seriously.
right,
For example, you're in a situation, you're in a gun situation, and you shoot the guy. Boom, boom. Okay, training. The guy gets up. I told him to Mike, get up. I'm shot. No, get up. Walk to him. See the reaction. Remember, in law enforcement, you have to prove that you cannot panic shooting. But then once again, the court would jump on you. Who would say we're abusive.
hmm,
See, to be a law enforcement agent is very hard. Very
yeah,
hard. I'm urging to all of them. But it's complicated. But that's why you have to train a lot.
right,
You have to train, and you have to use your imagination in the worst case scenario. Don't think yourself as a hero. Think yourself
right.
always like the victim. As
That,
the
that
victim.
that scenario you just described. So it's a training scenario, and the guy got shot and he's down, but you as the trainer, they're connected to you, and you tell him to get up.
I said, get up. I'm
Okay,
shot. Get up.
right.
Get up.
So
Why?
the person who shot him is not expecting that.
No. No, they're hearing my command, and remember they have helmets. They're hearing my
Right.
command, and sometimes it gives some tips. When the guy comes up good, it gives some tips. And when he gets shot, he said, "Get up." I said, "But he knows." He said, "Get up." And when he gets up, the guy looked at me like saying, "He's dead already." I said, "Deal with it." Case
Ah,
of Florida. Remember Florida? What happened with those guys got shot a lot of times? They keep on walking. They had no drugs in their system. They had pure adrenaline.
right.
Adrenaline.
Yeah,
And that's the reason why if
that's
you're gonna do
interesting.
so if you do some real combat, when I say real, you have to read a lot. Read real cases of people, phenomenal cases. You will never see a person. You can never imagine a person jumping on another person and ripping their face with the teeth,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
and they had to shoot them down like 1,000 times. So those things are reality. You have to think about it
Yeah.
and create conscious about it. That's why they said today they taught me this in the cool in the dojo about this. Good, live it in your arm. What happened? That technique is a guy with 6 foot, 7 foot. He weighs 400 pounds. What are you gonna do about it?
Hmm. Yeah.
So if you
Yeah.
cannot deal with it, then you have to do something else.
Right. Yeah, man, you got me thinking now about all the possibilities if Bruce Lee had lived, what could have happened, how Jeet Kune Do could have continued to develop, and what have you, because he had the mind for it. You know, he had the
Look,
mind to put into it.
he was a natural warrior. He
Hmm.
even wanted to go to war. Who wants to go to war in Vietnam? When they're killing everybody, he had that mentality. And when he was involved, he loved spy films. He loved spy films. He loved the Mission Impossible series.
Oh,
He
yeah.
loved the I Spy and stuff. He used to talk about that.
Yeah.
Spies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And he used to talk about espionage. And
Right.
he said, I would like to do a film. Not he never mentioned Blood and Steel. That's what he really didn't mention that. He said a film of espionage, infiltrating, And Tebo, when we saw him in Hong Kong, he was doing Return of the Dragon, and he was always had the idea of doing something. But that said to me, he was always on the foot side. He was
Right.
always there. And
Yeah.
he said to me, if Bruce Lee would have been here today, hearing you guys been talking like for two days straight without drinking water.
Right. Yeah. See, that I definitely see that, because a lot of what you said, I can hear, like interpretations of Bruce Lee's words, and what you said. This is off topic, but I saw it the other day watching TV. The Mission Impossible, the new one. Did you see the stunt that Tom Cruise is doing?
The new ones, the ones
The
doing right
new
now.
one.
That would,
I don't know if it's in post-production, pre-production, or whatever, but he released video of this latest stunt where he rides a motorcycle off a cliff and then does a skydive.
Oh, that guy so much. That guy is scary. I tell you, and I'll tell you what I tell to my buddies in the city. I said to them, that guy will be. You guys would recruit him.
Yeah.
He would be. It would be something. He would be something.
I was reading the statistics on it, and in one day, he did almost as many skydives as I did in like a 6-month period. He did 30.
Wow.
I have 37 jumps. He did 30 jumps in one day. He has over 500 skydives in total. It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
No, he's a adrenaline junkie for real. And I have my register. That's somebody you don't want to fight with, because I can imagine you get pissed off, eating his lips and trying to kick you down, and you want to think like Mayweather, hit him, get the hell out of there,
Yeah,
but
that's the other thing, because people will say, oh yeah, well Ted, Tom Cruise does his own stunts and whatever, but he's not a fighter. The same way they talk about Bruce Lee. Oh, he was just an actor. He was never in any competitions or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, so.
Like I said to everybody, if the person could hold pain and could keep on, run.
Right.
I'll tell you a story, a funny story for the people here looking at hearing this. My cousin, when we came to Puerto Rico, he had this fight for a girlfriend, and the guy that he fought with, I mean, it was next to home. He was a boxer. He was a boxer who was number, I don't know, 20 in the list, something like that.
Okay.
And Tony, sorry, but his name is Tony. He had a fight. He said, I don't know. That guy's a boxer. I don't know what to do. I said, I don't know what the hell. You should get the fight. Never pick a fight that you're gonna win. For God's sake. I have to do it anyway. But in our time in Puerto Rico, the word of a man is a word. In that time, so they started sparring. And Tony doesn't know how to throw a punch. He throws another punch like this, but not boxer. The boxer was beautiful. They gave me a clinic of boxing, how to fight a person with no arms. And Tony used to fight with his hands, like Karate Kid with the stuff like that. But guess what? The guy hit him so hard, and Tony keep on getting up. His face was so. I said, Tony, stop it. He goes, over here. No. I want to keep on. You're getting your ass kicked, for God's sake. I want to keep on. The guy looked at him, and Tony kept on. Guess what? The guy's getting tired.
Right.
And tired. And Tony was like, he looked like he fell. He came up from an airplane with a parachute. And the thing is, he started punching the guy. Bad punches, but strong punches.
Yeah.
Hit him hard like hell.
Yeah.
The guy, you know what happened to the guy? He said, stop. I have to fight here in 3 weeks. Stop. You win.
Right. Yeah.
And
See,
Tony won the battle. He won the battle.
right.
It's true that he went to the hospital, and he had fractured his face, but he
Yeah,
won the fight.
yeah,
What that taught me. You cannot underestimate nobody.
right. But also,
Even you're kicking the guy's butt,
mhm,
you have to watch out. That
but
monster could
again,
get up and zombie you to the end.
right. Again, you see, it's incredible. That's what that story puts me in mind of another thing in Bruce Lee's writings, where Bruce Lee says that a fight is not won by one or two punches. You have to learn to persevere. That's what Bruce Lee said. You have to
Yeah,
learn to persevere.
that's right. Hit first, hit fast, hit hard, and hit again, again and again and again and again. It's his opponent. That's what
Yeah,
happened when he fought with one Jack Man. He was hitting the guy, got tired. But
right.
he beat him up, But then he said to me, I need physical fitness, work it out, and
Yeah.
be more practical in the punches. And that's what he created a thing that today even modern sports cannot explain. That's how advanced he was,
Hmm. Right.
and he still is, and he still lives on with that thing.
Yeah.
But my big advice to all is, if you're in law enforcement, if you're a soldier, don't be confirmed. I mean, don't be comfortable with what you learn. Work it out. Get your ass kicked. Okay? Get your ass kicked. Don't be the hero. Be the victim. Think as a victim. If you think
Hmm.
as a hero, you always be in the top. Think as a victim. Okay? Like, what happened to do this? What happened to this? What happened to rape me? Oh, God's sake. What am I going to do? What am I going to do?
Yeah.
Those are the things thinking of intelligence officers. Because they're in the worst cases there. They could be captured, whatever.
Yeah.
But what's the worst thing's going to happen to you? And how you're going to react? How can you talk it out?
Hmm.
Remember, if you could avoid a fight by talking, that's the best way. That's the best martial of all.
Right.
And it doesn't mean you're
Yeah.
a coward. It means you're intelligent.
Yeah.
And today's day, um, we have people that they develop more animal instincts with intelligence. It's
Yeah.
incredible,
Yeah.
and it's sad.
You just made me think of something, because you're talking about thinking in different ways, and I just made up a phrase, cross thinking. We talk about cross training, but I just made up a phrase, cross thinking.
Right? And that's an intelligence thing. Because
Yeah,
when you're interviewing a person, you have to think different stuff to grab the
yeah,
person. If this
yeah,
person's lying, not lying, or whatever. So
yeah.
cross thinking is something. It's something. Remember, everything that your brain does first, your body will follow.
Hmm.
That's why I call JKD the art of psychology also,
Yeah.
because
Oh,
you
for
have to
sure.
learn. Yeah, if you learn, and more you learn the human contact, how
Hmm.
they can react, how they're going to react,
Hmm.
it'll be like I could see like Bruce Lee thinking like Jason Bourne. This guy weighs like 300 pounds. He had that mentality.
Right.
He
Well,
had that
yeah.
mentality.
I mean, he put that mentality somewhat into Game of Death. The idea of Game of Death, how to as he went up to the every new level, it was like a problem to solve. It was a new problem to solve, and he had to be able to fit in with that new
Exactly.
problem instantly. Right.
Exactly. It's like that. It's true.
I
True.
I think you're right. I think Bruce Lee would have been a great intelligence officer. I think you're right.
His heart was there. His
Yeah.
heart was there. This
Yeah.
I Later on I'll tell some things more. I cannot say it now, but his heart was there.
Yeah.
Okay, his heart was there, and he admired the career of the soldier and intelligence officer. How they had to improvise, doing anything to survive,
Right.
and how to do
Man.
things
Yeah.
fast. Now, my,
Yeah.
my advice to I know that you have a lot of law enforcement followers. My respect to all of you that you're seeing watching this program. Please train hard. Don't be happy. Don't be confirmed. I mean, not comfortable with the things they teach you. You have to do more than that. Train a lot of shooting.
Yeah.
Train. Doesn't matter now. And the difference between a chokehold and a sleeper,
And the sleeper.
okay, there's a big difference right there. Okay, so and it looks like it's not the same thing. And those little details you get in judo, jiu-jitsu, those little details could save your life, could save your career. And that's my big advice to all. And those who are working in intelligence fields or working in zones that they're highly in danger, 4 H's, like Brucey said, hit first, hit fast, hit hard, and hit again.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap it up on that note, man, because it's holiday time, and I'm sure you got family stuff to take care of and get
Yeah.
started on this thing, right? So I appreciate you taking some time.
I hope you could make it to Puerto Rico next Christmas and you could eat our traditional food of rice and pigeons and pork and pasteles and stuff
Wow.
like that. Yeah,
Wow.
and like, it's good. So I hope you can make it to Puerto Rico.
I would leave there fatter than I am.
Hey, look at me! Look at me! So
All right.
I wish you and your followers the best Christmas blessings in 2023, and the Lord bless of all. And I want to congratulate you for your this program and this expression of love to all of us.
Thank you, man.
It's really expression of love to all the JKDs on the Bruce Lee. Okay, when you take time and try to understand and create peace and harmony, man, that means a lot. That means a lot. And I'm proud of you also that. And I want to say hi to my students if they're watching me from Turkey, from Sweden, and Sri Lanka. You know, they're watching me. I bless you to all.
All right, man. All right. Well, have a good one. All right.
Nos vemos. Feliz Navidad.
Okay. Take care. That was cool. That was so cool. All right. So that is quite possibly the last episode for 2022, guys. It looks as if next Friday I won't be able to be on with anybody. So you might have to do without me for a week or so. All right. I know that's not so hard. Okay. So that is episode 250. Yeah, probably a good number at which to end the year with. So you guys know the deal. Go ahead and comment. I will see if there's anything that Sifu Albert needs to talk to or respond to. I didn't get to tell you about supporting the show at jkdrebel.com. Click on the Rebel Gear link, and that's where you'll see stuff like this, the UMAA Kali JKD t-shirt. Also remember that at paypal.me/unifiedma Miami, the Jeet Kune Do Journey raw but edited volume 1 is available. So you can pick that up there. And yeah, I will let you know during the week. I'm definitely doing a final episode of the I Love Jeet Kune Do broadcast next Wednesday, but it's looking as if I won't be available to do a Jeet Kune Do dialogue. So this might be the final one for this year, but we'll see, right? In any case, you guys have a great weekend. Merry Christmas to all of you. And Miami the weather is going to change substantially here around 3 a.m. We're going to go from being in the 80s today to the 40s and maybe even lower over the next couple of days. So if you never see me again because I died of frostbite or something, it was nice knowing you. Anyhow, Merry Christmas, guys. Have a great weekend. This is Dwight Woods, the Jeet Kune Do Rebel, signing out. Talk soon. Take care.